Hey guys, welcome back to Dmac Kustoms on YouTube. Dave here, garage, Area 51. So close to being able to drive this thing, but we got issues. Last week got the drive shaft in, cool, got it fired up again. Initially had some start issues, which I think is just a bad connection at the starter relay. Because I wiggled that and it went, so I've got to look into that. And leaking, still leaking, not only oil but coolant as well, just for good measure. So let's have a look. Hopefully this won't take long. Okay, so you remember that one? Yeah, it's still there. Okay, so after running the old Area 51 last week, I discovered a little patch of this red antifreeze coolant on the ground under my freakishly little radiator hose, bottom hose, and my thermostat housing is O-ring style. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this. Try and get some light onto it. Right, that's aluminium, it won't stick. You can see, hang on, try to one hand. Okay, if you can see kind of above that cap screw there's a little bit of a drip. That's where it seems to be coming from, I think, which is this kind of main housing, and then the flange swivel, so you can swivel this into any direction you want. Unfortunately, that means it's another kind of weak point, and it's supposed to be O-ring seal, and yeah, you can see how much it moves, which kind of, I've never been able to get it to kind of like really lock down tight, if you know what I mean. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But I don't really like this little hose. I was wondering if I went to a stock thermostat housing, which then points out this way, whether I could do some kind of loop back thing, come down and around, and then give a little bit of flex, but use a factory style housing, because this aftermarket stuff is just absolutely kicking my ass. But something else I did notice is there's a bit of build up on that pulley there. I don't know what that is. Feels like grease. Don't know, unless that's something coming off somewhere else, or it could be something leaking. Wouldn't surprise me. Everything wants to leak. So yeah, so it looks like we'll be dumping the radiator again, and maybe another little road trip down to Super Cheap Auto, where you get not much more, and go through all their hoses and see what I can find, see if I can find anything that doesn't S, and then a 180 back, and might just be a flexi hose if I can get one the right length and the right size that's flexible enough to get it to go where I want it to go. Didn't really want to do a flexi hose because some people don't like them. I actually don't have a problem. Got one on the old bomb truck over there. That's been good. Prior to that, the bomb truck had one of those chrome jobbies with the kind of big looking AN fitting type things. They were just like a cover over the clamps, and that blew off one day while I was messing with the timing. The fans didn't kick in and that thing got crazy hot, and it blew off as I had just stepped away from leaning over the top of it and was walking around the other side, and it was parked in here in the garage. Took that paint off the inside of the bonnet and showered the whole place with boiling hot coolant as I was running like a little scared schoolgirl out the door. Trying to get my hood up on my hoodie because I just didn't want to get burns like that. Know a guy who got some serious burns on his forearm a few years back, and skin grafts and all that sort of stuff. Not pretty, so be careful with those washing machine, those kind of chrome, you know, hose fittings and stuff. They look all blingy and stuff, but man, I would not trust them at all. But yeah, so we want to have a look at this oil leak first. I have got another gasket. I've got the kind of more the old style gasket. had one of those shipped in, a whopping $6 to buy but $9 to ship it. That's the kind of more the original style, so I'm wondering whether that'll help. And yeah, see how we go. All the other ones I could find were the double circular holes, which is more as for if you're actually putting a oil cooler on, and you're wanting those two, you know, in and outs sort of separated, whereas this is just a bypass kind of cover plate thing that we have going on there, still the washing machine. And yeah, other than that, it was just those bloody metal ones which I've already got. So I'm hoping it is that area that's still leaking and not something further up that I can't find. But we'll take that cover off again and have another look. Okay, so back under here. I haven't taken this off yet. I just wanted to show you what I'm thinking of about what's going on. We've got oil tracking down along there. We get a lot around this seal here, but what I'm kind of looking at is right here. We're getting oil at this gasket, I think. There's a rag. Wipe my finger. I can't really see up above it. It's coming out fairly dry. But we're dry up on here, but I mean we're getting it, obviously it's tracking down this bit here and down and coming along and through here. As I said the other day, I had a look in here again and I'm not really getting anything from the inside. But yeah, all I can think of is this still giving me grief, so I'm gonna clean this up and I'll take this off completely again. Try not to make a huge mess. I'm going to try and take it off without draining the oil. In theory, most of it should have drained back into the pan by now. We'll probably still get a little bit coming out of here, and see what happens. It's like, alrighty, so there's my old metal gasket, and I put Permatex around that last week. It did start kind of pouring out, so I can't really tell whether it was leaking from there or not. You know, I mean, I suspect it was. So I'm going to clean all this up, clean up all up under there, and then we'll have a look at our new gasket. The new gasket looked really little, but I suppose it is. Oh no, that should be about right. Oh yeah, it should be right. Now, I did some Googling on this particular little topic during the week and found a bunch of forums and that on, you know, ls1.com and lt1.com and all these. It was a bunch of kind of like sort of Gen 3 and 4 LS kind of forums, older posts and that, granted, but talking about the same issue, leaks in this back corner of the rear pan, and like this particular block off plate being problematic, and people, you know, talking about this very new style metal gasket being problematic compared to the old ones. The old ones, you know, the style that I'm about to put on, having some issues as well. But and then some guys were saying they just use no gasket and they just use Permatex black or something like that as a, and just all the way around, let it fully cure, do all the right steps, 24-hour cure before they run it type of thing, and they've had good success with that. So I'm going to try this gasket because I bought the gasket before I read those posts, and see how that goes, and if it still leaks then I'll ditch the gasket and try the Permatex sealant that I've got and see how it goes from there. So anyway, I'll get ahead and I'll clean all this stuff up and then we'll put it back on. Okay, so I thought I'd just show you this. Cleaned up all the Permatex and that off here, but you can see a very light machining you know, mil marks sort of thing on here, and a minor, you can minor feel them with your fingernail, but like I wouldn't have thought. The only one I can think of is that sweep there, whether that's enough. Like if you look up higher in there, I can feel that more there, like right where my fingernail is, and then that there, you can feel a bit of it there. I don't know. It's like, is that little O-ring gasket gonna be enough? Okay, so I did try putting a ruler across it, just to see if I could get any rocking out of it, you know, like a ruling device that I leave on the floor, so it's probably not that accurate. And yeah, I can't really kind of see anything like that, you know, no real evident kind of rock in there sort of thing. So we'll just have a look at this little mamma jamma. So that lands like that, right on the perimeter of there, and will that kind of squish and compress enough to take up any of those little excuse me, had a cold most of the week. Will that be enough to take up any discrepancies in the finish on the actual sump side? I'm confident-ish that I got this pretty flat last week. Here's me looking at it without my spectacles on, so of course I'm confident. But yeah, so all I can think of is just put this on there, give it a run. I've got to do something with that bloody water radiator thermostat thing before I can do that. But yeah, run one of these gaskets, see what happens. Okay, so just checking the alignment of everything on that, up on that side of the equation, and you know, as far as alignment goes, it looks good, but it feels a bit slidey on there, which I suppose is because it's a silicon O-ringy type setup, but I was kind of expecting a bit more O-ringy type stuff. But this is, you know, pretty thin looking. Oh, I suppose I'll just give it a whirl. It's just a hassle, makes a mess, and you know, I have to lay under here and try and fix it all the time. It's a pain, man, it's a pain. Okay, so I'm just going to try and show you this. I know it's probably real difficult to see, but if you look at the machining on the inside of this housing, it's not true center. So when you put I noticed it with that metal gasket too, that it just seemed a little bit off. I mean, if you push it to one side, it kind of centers it, you know, like lean it that way. It's kind of hard. I'm trying to hold the camera and get the light so you can see it, but on my thumb side, on the left hand side here, it's where the O-ring part is going to try and seat is right on the edge of that opening, and whereas on the other side and top and bottom you've got more. I know it's moving around at the moment, but I'll try and hold it with my knee. So like, you know, if it just sits where it wants to sit, I'm just holding these two bolts with my finger, it's not sitting centered in the gasket, so the machining on this housing is kind of out of whack a bit, and it's right close to that edge there. So I'm now dubious about whether that, once it's kind of bolted down, because it's right on the edge, whether that's going to just flex into that edge and potentially leak again. So I'm thinking now, and now that I've got silicone grease all over everything, whether I shit can the gasket and go straight to the Permatex and just goop this thing on here. There were quite a few people on the forums who all kind of went down that route and just reckon it's the way to go, like just ditch the gasket altogether and put a little bead of Permatex around there, follow the instructions, give it this hour or whatever, and then torque it to spec. So I'm just worried that that is going to be a constant weak point on any gasket that's right on that edge. I mean, if you push it over, it would probably be alright, but once you're bolting it up, you've got no idea whether you're pushing it over, but where it naturally wants to sit is right on the edge. And it's just, I'd rather it was on a flat like at the bottom here, it's got plenty of room to compress. Try turning it over, no difference. Aftermarket junk. Okay, so just doing some Permatexing, other type of Permatex. This is the Permatex Black, which is ultra black gasket maker, oil resistant. So I just don't want to get a massive amount on there and have it all squeeze in. It's going to do some to a certain degree, but if I leave it to cure, it should be alright. I just don't want to kind of have squeezing in and messing up, blocking things up internally. So I might just scrape a little bead around the outside there, so it's got a little bit to so that bit will squeeze into that bit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, we'll stick that on. So got that on there finger tight as per instructions, and we'll leave it for an hour, and then I'll torque it down to the specified torquage, whatever that is, I don't know yet. Okay, so trying to do this in a less messy way. It's still remnants of this red shit from when I did it last time, and I've got some zip ties kind of holding this funnel back to the steering rack there, so I can hopefully control my descent into chaos. So we'll see how this goes. Kind of working, kind of not. Just got to take the cap off at the top, I think. Oh, cool. This is going to take all week. This is, yeah, I'm worried if I turn it out one more turn, it's going to just pop out and shower me in coolant and make a hooer of a mess. Completely missing my funnel now. I'm dribbling down the back. Awesome. Okay, I might just leave it at that for a while and let it slowly drain rather than make a huge mess. There's no hurry. Okay, so to a large degree my funnel system worked-ish till I cracked the bottom hose, cracked it loose, and then it proceeded to dump fluid all over the place, but you get that on the big jobs. Yeah, so a lot more comes out when you actually do that, undo the bottom bolt of the thermostat housing. Choice. Okay, so got me a low profile creeper, so basically I don't have to lay in all the antifreeze. It's mostly mopped up, but still a bit of it on the floor. Oh, where's the Allen key? Okay, so I've got most of it off, made a fairly sizable mess, which is this is all going to dry nicely and have all those little red pinky spots all over everything like that, which is a pain. Hey guys, so back, got this out. Now looking at this is roughly how that was clocked in the car, and it was weeping out down the bottom here, and like I actually did try kind of pinching it up just a scotch more before I took it out, and it wouldn't budge. This outer flange was clamped down as far as it would go, so obviously this kind of O-ring seal thing was, you know, bedded in as far as it could go, but it was still leaking. So nuisance. So I do have a couple of factory style thermostats and housings that actually came with that water pump. Don't know why I got two with the water pump. This one here was not the one that was on it, but this is one, I think one of them was stamped with the what it's rated at, and I've got the other one over here. Sure, I've seen a stamp on one of these thermostats. So they got a kind of bigger, more butty sort of proper O-ring on these. But the problem with these is where the, you know, the outlet pipe ends up landing isn't ideal, but might be able to make it work. I'm sure one of these has got something stamped on it somewhere. Oh, this one there, it's got 82 degrees Celsius. So that's the one that was marked with it. Where did I see that? Oh, it's written on that outer ring. This one here's got no markings on it, so I can't trust that I'll know whether it's an 82 or not. I can't see anything on that on the inside there. So yeah, I don't know whether I can use that one. So I'll look at using that one. I'll put this one away, and I might get rid of these stupid Allen bolts that are on that Aeroflow one and just go to a standard 10mm. Much easier than dicking around with Allen keys up under there, because that was a pain in the ass. So I'll bolt that in, and I'll kind of show you what I mean, where my dilemma lies with using those ones. Okay, so you can see down there, that's the factory style, goes out sideways, which is a pain, but not impossible to deal with. I mean, if I had came out and went a direct 90 down, it'd be cool. Go down and then kind of do another 90, and then almost a 180 back to my bottom spout on the old radiator. It could work, but I gotta find some mutant little car that has that kind of shape and heading in the right directory, or a flexi, whether a flexi hose could possibly do that. I don't know. I don't know if they're that flexy to do all that kind of twisting and turning. And then we've got two different sort of sizes. You know, our outlet on the radiator is bigger than our inlet into the thermostat housing, which is what I had before, but I just made it work. But flexi hoses tend to be a lot more, you know, tougher on the ends than normal hose sort of thing. So, and it's not, I mean, this is that went down like that, and then we had a 180 to bring it back. Hang on, I'll just put that on there and we'll have a look, see. Yep. Not quite, it's a bit long actually, maybe got a shorter end to it. That's shorter. And it could be cut down. That went like that, and then basically kind of 180'd back around. It might work. It's a bit ugly, but I might just have more success with a factory style or a factory stylish thermostat housing than our aftermarket stuff, because honestly this aftermarket stuff is killing me, man. And you know, it was holding and then it wasn't, you know. Just maybe a bit of vibration or whatever was enough to kind of screw me up. That one's a bit shorter. I wonder if that one would go on there. Yeah, if I could get a 180 degrees or 290s and joins and stuff, that could probably work. If I could get a 180 to kind of loop back to that bottom outlet, I might have to just leave it there for now, lads, and I'll go scooting off down to the old super cheap auto and have a rummage through their stuff after lunch. I'm about to have my lunch, and yeah, see what we can cobble together. Ideally, I don't want to have joins and that in it. I wonder if I should take that with me. I want to take that with me anyway, just for my diameters. But I mean, if I can imagine that coming down, yeah, I'll take this with me. Okay, so just in case you're wondering, I have torqued that oil cover cooler plate down and put my sender wire back on, and yeah, then now we'll go and do this. So I'll go and have me some lunch, and then I'm going to head out and see what I can figure out from here. I might draw a sketch as well and take that with me. Well guys, so just leaving old Super Cheap, picked up a flexi hose. Hopefully that's going to work. Looked at heaps of other sort of, well, not heaps, just whatever options they had, and they there was one that was close, but it was like 32mm or something. Like it did actually almost do a 180 back on itself, and if it wasn't for the big outlet on my radiator, I probably could have made it work. But yeah, so I just thought if I bring that home, and it was about $80. It was a bottom hose off something. It was a bottom radiator hose off some Hyundai or some shit like that. I don't know, Suzuki or some shit, but I can't remember. But it was almost the right shape. It still would have had a join in it somewhere. So what I've kind of got planned with the old flexi hose is it'll still have a join in it, like at one end, but the idea is this will kind of come down and 180 back to the bottom of the radiator. Hopefully I can get it on the bottom of the radiator. It's a little bit on the smaller side, but a bit of lubrication in the situation, we might be able to kind of force that over that bottom spout on the, you know, the outlet on the rad. Upside is it's also got the wire inside it, so kind of helps stop it collapsing, whereas a couple of the other hoses I looked at didn't have wire inside. They were like top hoses and stuff, and I was kind of worried that once, you know, you get that kind of collapse on the bottom hose, then it just stops your coolant flow, then you kaboom, grenade your engine. But yeah, so we'll head back home and see what we can kind of figure out, and hopefully make this cobble together thing work, and then be able to kind of stick with the factory thermostat housing. Yeah, anyway, see when we get back home. Okay, so the other bonus of having a longer bottom radiator hose is that little wee short elbow that I had in there had really no flex whatsoever. So if the engine is flexing on the engine mounts and stuff like that, it's going to put a lot of stress on that bottom spout, bottom outlet, and the thermostat housing itself. When I got that, you know, swivelly one, I was adamant that
I wouldn't be able to kind of do anything with a kind of vent hose just because of the weird angle it comes out on. This might work. I hope it works, because otherwise it's another 45 bucks down the toilet. And yeah, so it's sort of just one of those kind of things I've got to try. This is custom cars and engine swaps and stuff. This is the stuff that hangs you up, but it's actually not that hard setting an engine and doing engine mounts and shit like that. It's just finding all this peripheral stuff to kind of make it all kind of work and keep the fluids in, you know, stop leaking, for God's sake. So hopefully, yeah, we'll be able to stop this thing from leaking oil, coolant. Knock on wood, I think the power steering currently isn't leaking. Yeah, I did see a little bit at the trans cooler, but I think that might be left over from when it did leak the other week when we first kind of were cranking it. And yeah, so go home and we'll give it a crack, and then hopefully tomorrow, once we're RTV on that block off plate's all kind of sealed up, we'll be able to fire it up and see if it leaks again. To be honest, I don't know, like I'm not 100% convinced that that's the problem. I suspect it may be that gasket's not lining up with the opening on the inside of that cover, but you know, you could probably fluke it and get it to seal and whatnot, but I'm hoping that's what it is, and I'm hoping this RTV will cure it, because I mean, I don't know really where else to look other than taking the engine back out and all the transmission out and looking a little bit higher up in the equation. Could maybe still be that cam sensor O-ring, but I doubt it. Just because of where it all seems to be sitting, it seems to be sitting around that area, that housing and stuff, and I can't see where it might be coming from above there. So anyway, see, we'll get back home again. Okay, so according to the internet, this needs to be 11 foot-pounds. There were arguments on the forums about whether it was 11 or 7 or inch-pounds. According to Pace Performance, it's 11. Might need an extension, it might be easier. It feels like it's going to break. Where is that? Oh, you. Really don't know what to say. Grade 8, my ass. Didn't even, I actually dialed back the torque wrench to 7 foot-pounds, because I did see that on one of the things, and I was torquing it up to 7 foot-pounds and snapped the bolt in my brand new water pump. Now, I don't want to cry on YouTube, but man, I'm fucking close, I tell you. This shit, this Chinese junk is just doing my head in. I don't know what to do now. How am I going to get that out? Do I have to pull the water pump? Probably. Shut up, seagull. Oh, and it's even coming out finger tight. What the hell? Yes. What a stroke of luck that was, man. You guys, like that little freaking Chinesian bolt, I thought I'll use the new bolt, torque it to the specs and not just do it by feel. I was tightening it, I could feel it, and it was like, this feels off to me, like it feels like it just keep going sort of thing. And then we heard that little, and I'll probably have to
edit out the 2 swear words. They're big bombers in there. Far out. What a stroke of luck that was, being able to kind of get that out without having to take the water pump out. Man, I thought I was in for another big mission of, you know, pulling all this out and wrangling it out and dropping more coolant and crap everywhere. It's still running down my arms and stuff, but man, okay, so saved by the, I'm kind of lucky it broke halfway down. Like, I don't know, like it bottom out. Was it too long? Anyway, I'm going to see if I can find my original LS1 thermostat housing bolts. I've still got the original housing somewhere. Bolts maybe in a box over in the corner there, and see if I can use an original OEM stuff. Unless they're torque to yield, I don't know actually, but I may have some. I think they're just 6mm. I may have some 6mm, but they're, yeah. Whew. Okay, so found a couple of bolts, which I think are the original ones, and I just wound one in there, and that's a blind hole down there, so that's as far in as it goes. And these bolts that came with that water pump are longer, so it bottomed out and then I broke it off. So yeah, how bizarre that they would supply bolts that are too long for the application. God, I sound like a whinger. Every week I'm moaning about aftermarket parts and stuff like that, but man, this stuff is just kicking my ass. Just, I've got to learn to check every single thing that I buy that's aftermarket, you know. Like, I've got stuff out of pick apart and it's had 300,000 K on it. Throw it in and it works like a treat. You buy some aftermarket thing and it has problems and stuff, you know. Like, that's those brake boosters, those 7-inch dual diaphragm brake boosters. They all are weird. You ask anyone who's got those hooked up to a disc setup, they run out of boost, they hang the pedal, all sorts of stupid stuff. So anyway, I've got to get that bolt back out of there and change the battery. Okay, so my flexi hose plan didn't work. It's too long and it gets just caught up and stuff, and all the other ones that I tried bending on a tight sort of radius in the shop. Oh, there's that other piece. Yeah, they just didn't work either. So I'm looking at a steel thing now, because I got a hunk of stainless, which is a bit of this stuff, that I'm looking at doing something with. I mean, ideally it'd be good to have a couple of U-beams or something I could cut up and weld, but I haven't got anything like that. And I'll show you what I'm kind of on about. Yeah. So this is the original little shorty that I've got stretched over that bottom thing, and it goes over, and then I've got a 90 that I found over on the shelf. So I kind of need another kind of 90 to kind of get me in to join there. So I mean, I actually could almost make a 90 out of rubber, then I'd have to have two kind of joiners inside, which wouldn't be the end of the world. Why didn't that work with that other piece? I don't know, but if that was there, now I can't really see. Yeah, would it work? I can't cut these down any shorter. They're already kind of too short as it is, trying to get enough grab. Feels like I could almost get that with just a 90 elbow, but I'm not really sure. That's almost like it switches back a bit more than that, but it's hard to tell. I mean, if that was down that way, or if that angled up more that way, but then that's too long. There's just, I don't know. if any of you guys got a good idea for this, by all means let me know in the comments. I don't know. Another day. This is again, I didn't get out here till a little bit later. I did some work on the ensuite this morning, but that was a quick easy job and that went swimmingly, thanks. But this, all because of the aftermarket parts that promise the world and deliver misery, leaks. I don't know, I'll do some figuring. Okay, so I've been doing some more chopping and butchering up of what rubber hoses I've got and cut up a bit of pipe to kind of try and hold it together, give me a better idea of what I kind of trying to construct, but it's not good. Okay, so I sort of clamp it together so it would hold and not keep pulling apart. That's kind of what I'm after. It does flatten off, kink a little bit in the middle there. It's a bit hard to kind of see. It's right where I can't see from top or bottom, so I don't really kind of know how much. If I lengthen something, maybe if that was longer. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, if that lengthened, if that was longer now, of course I've cut everything, it probably wouldn't kink as much and we might have a bit more kind of go with it if I hadn't cut so much off there. So yeah, it's kind of, must be kinking about like that. Don't think it will collapse, but it's got too much steel in it for that. If I got a longer 90 again, I might do, maybe that bit there. Could I do something with that? Okay, so back to where I was about 5 minutes ago, or 10 minutes ago, maybe half an hour or an hour or two. Tried to change the top part of the hose and it didn't work. So I kind of back where I started and managed to scratch some paint on the inner guard, so that was awesome. It's just kind of what you want to be doing on the kind of final assembly type stuff. Coloured in bloody antifreeze and shit, because it keeps dribbling out of the radiator. I don't know why. Bloody thing, I thought it was empty. Every time I touch that bottom outlet, it just kind of runs out, and it's like, you can take no hose on there, it don't come out. You just wave your fingers at it, it runs out, comes down your arm, down your elbow, soaks the sleeve of your sweatshirt, and Bob's your auntie. If I had a hose that was like that, essentially, that's kind of what I want. But man, what I've got made up there is kind of pretty rinky-dink, and I don't really like it. At a push it might work, or if I could make the center section out of stainless, it would kind of be less joins but less flex, if you know what I mean, because it's kind of yeah, it's just not really ideal. I haven't really got anything else. I've got another big hunk of flexi hose there. That's actually a lot more flexible, but it's too big for the thermostat housing. Be alright down the bottom, I think. That was off the truck, bottom hose off the truck, I think, which I replaced a while back. And that's about all I've got. Radiator hose stuff kicking around, I think. I don't think there's any in the Morris Minor box. At least now I've kind of got that together, I could probably take that back down to Super Cheap, or try the other branch in Taronga. Last time I was there, they had a wider variety, but they have just changed sort of suppliers sort of thing. So I mean, if I could get it out of one piece rubber hose, like off a standard vehicle, and then make a note of said vehicle, so if I have any problems I can just go and buy one, trim it, put it in. I don't really like the idea of having this kind of cobbled together kind of stuff. But at a push, that's what's going to be. If you know of any kind of custom hose solutions like this, let us know in the comments. I mean, the old flexi hose just ain't gonna cut it. The kind of radiuses are too tight. I have seen some stuff online about silicone, but I don't know much about it or what the story is with it, or maybe I'll do a bit more kind of researching this evening and get an idea of what that's about. But I probably wouldn't be able to get it done this weekend, you know. Keep trying to do these things that to get a video done and complete, and that way, yeah, in a weekend, and then these little things are just hanging me up. Like today, this was supposed to be a quick fix, but now I have no faith in that. I don't want to put that back on, and I've cut that bottom hose, so I'd still have to go and buy another hose for the bottom. But yeah, all these things just kicking me in the ass, but we'll persevere. We'll get this. We'll get it. So there's me bit. This is the top, this is the bottom. And it's when it's in there, like I was showing before, it's kind of hard to show you one-handed. It's kind of like that, and it's kind of closing that up ever so slightly. I don't think it definitely wouldn't collapse, but I'm just worried that it's hard to tell how much it's closing it up when it's in there, you know, because it's trying to do this, and it'll probably be alright. Just whether I can keep all of this from leaking, you know, not leaking, which is why I really want to do a one piece. But maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow, is I'll go out and take that with me, see if I can find something that resembles that, ideally with a bigger outlet, although I did manage to stretch that size over that, and now it's permanently stretched, so that's all good. See if I can get a win on some off-the-shelf part. Otherwise, I'm still contemplating making something out of that, cutting it up and doing some pie cuts. I won't be getting rounded corners and stuff, but I'll probably maybe just sort of like do some pie cuts that has like a gradual kind of 90 rather than a hard 90, you know. So hopefully it'll kind of flow-ish. Should be alright. But yeah, I just won't have that same amount of flex that I was after with the, you know, rubber hoses. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's enough for today. It's getting late in the day, it's getting cold, so I'm gonna go try and clean up some of this stuff, and I'm gonna go inside upstairs and get warm. Hey guys, so next day I've been out and about with my cobbled together thing and bought some more bits of hose, and hopefully be able to get something else cobbled together that's got less joins in it. I'm alright with one, I just didn't really like the two, so I'll get all this stuff sorted out and we'll be back in 2 secs. Alright, so I got this big unit here, which is a Hyundai 2 litre 4-cylinder 16 valve double overhead cam EFI gates, but it's the only one I can find with a good kind of sweeping curve, which is kind of what I want for. It's kind of hard to figure out, but I'll try just to get kind of that section. So I'm gonna trim it down a scotch somewhere. I've got to figure that out, and then we'll try sort of having a little play around and see how it's gonna fit. I'm going to cut it a bit oversized to start with though, so I'm going to cut it about there, just give me a little bit of extra to start with. Hopefully it fits on. It's a little bit smaller. Okay, so it's a little hard to see, I haven't actually got it on there yet, but I'm going to have to immediately trim it again because it's hitting the everything. So I'm going to go maybe take another 15mm off it for now.
Okay, so just fortunately I had a spare thermostat housing, so I was having a bit of trouble laying under there trying to put this on, so I thought, oh, I know what I'll do, I'll give it a pre-stretch on an external housing, and it goes on there, like it was a bit of a push, but much easier to try and do it this way, get it started, get it kind of warmed up, and kind of get it to start, you know, getting a bit of a shape, maybe hopefully a little bit more permanently. But I trimmed off an extra 15 off there. I'll let this cool off. It's not crazy hot, but I'll let it cool off while it's on here. That's actually probably about right. And then I'll go and try and put it up under the car.
Little dogs. They're so aggressive, man. Now, anywho, I got that up on there. I think that's as far up as it'll go. And my plan is to have like one join and one join only. So just trying to get a better idea of how it's going to sit and whether it's going to pucker up there. It does a little bit, but I do have a spring that I can put in there as well to help with that. Kind of still a tight radius. If I could get that back further, I'm thinking. Where's my pen? Something in my eye. I'm thinking if I can get the join about there, and then have a 90 kind of finagling its way in to make it work. I don't know if this camera, laying the camera flat on the ground, is going to work, but I got this other 90. I thought that might be useful, but it's actually a lot closer than I remembered. Again, if the motor was 50mm further back, this would be a whole lot easier. So I'm thinking it'll go something along those lines. And this is a Subaru WRX hose, 94 to 01. So if I'm going about there, kind of want to be, actually I'll cut it on that side actually, so I kind of want to be trying for about there, so about that much, I think maybe about there. I'll cut it there and then try to flare this out to fit.
Alright, just gonna, this hose is a little bit on the small side for my bottom radiator outlet, but so was my other one. I just had to stretch it up. We'll start with that. It's not quite the right size, but if we can get it going with that big socket. Oh, gee, chipping the floor. Probably could do with a rag. Just happens to be an old towel on that chair. Gotta try and get this out. Okay. Oh yeah, she's got some warmth in that. Yeah, we've got a slightly bigger socket. I don't know if I'll be able to get this one on. Oh, okay, that's stuck. Yeah, that got it done. Right, I'll go and put a bit more heat on that, see if I can kind of bed that on, like, for strength, you know, to, what do you call it, like mould that bit of rubber, hopefully. That one's still warm. Okay, so I'll leave that to
cool off, and go and have a look underneath while this is cooling off. Yeah, she's nice and hot. And alright, like I say, still gonna have to have a joint in it, but we should be alright, I think, like with my little jointer. Okay, so I'm gonna do a rough kind of guesstimate. So from the inner radius, I really only want about 30 mil or so, 25ish. Let's have a look, see what that's going to be like. That's going to be my cut. I don't need crotch shots. So that'll be, so it's only about there, so that's kind of be where my join's going to land. I think, again, I might start it a little more, just give me a bit of trimmage room. Trim that one back, pull the other one out, trim that, and have a go at putting them together. So this is the big U-bend sort of one. You can see that impression there now that this is cooled off, that it's kind of kept a bit of its expanded shape, hopefully enough to make it easy enough to get it on and off, but still keep it nice and tight. So I'm just going to cut this one down now, and then see how we can put these two together. Okay, so just kind of holding this in place. It's obviously not in the right place, but I'm just trying to get a rough kind of gauge on, you know, like where I need to kind of join these. So I'm just going to grab a pencil and kind of mark an alignment mark on both of these, so when I kind of put my jointer in, I can see if it's in the right sort of spot. I'm still probably going to have a little bit of trimming to do. I'm not sure from which end, but we'll figure that out. Okay, so that's approximately my positioning, which was the top. That's the top. I'm just going to put some clamps on there. It's not the final clamping, but I just want to kind of hold it in place every time I try to put it in there. If it falls apart, hold it for now. So that'll be the only join. It's not super tight at the moment, and I've only got a flare on one end of my jointer. I've only it's only half made. It's actually an older one that I cut down. So I'll just try and put this back up and then see if it works. Okay, so I've got that hose on. This is a mission, man. And I think I've actually cut it down too short, my U-bends thing. So I can fix that by making my jointer piece, my steel piece, you know, a little bit bigger. I actually want to bring it further back out here because it is kind of collapsing a bit at that elbow. And if I make it longer, what's going to happen? It means I can tip that one down a bit and maybe go that way. Don't know. What other options have I got? Shorten that down there. Just going to pull it that way. Might straighten it out. Yeah, maybe needs a little bit more off here and a longer jointer. So out she comes, and I'll make a new jointing piece. Okay, so this is the jointer I had in there. So I'm just going to make another one a bit longer out of this. About 15 millimeters longer. Hopefully that makes everything all work and be happy. Okay, so I've got a part of an old ball joint out of a Series 2-3 Jaguar. Hopefully it doesn't spit it out. This is just enough to kind of flare the end a little bit. Oops, it wants to go sideways. How did I do this last time? That's all mounted on the end. I wonder if I got another one. Okay, so this must be my hammer version, and then this one here is cleaner. I do have two. Actually does, just don't need much, just need a little bit of a flare on each end just to help hold that hose on, stop it slipping off, you know. She does. Yeah, that's enough. It's just a little bit of a flare out on each end. I just got to file it all up smooth, make sure there's no sharp edges. A little bit of a clean up. There's a bit of a sharp edge there, so it doesn't cut the hose from the inside. Know what I'm saying? Okay, so it didn't actually pan out how I thought it would. It just has made that collapse even more. But I've had an idea which could just create a heap more work for myself. I'm thinking if I made a pie cut in that joiner in the middle and kind of I could take a pie out of it and make it a kind of sort of slightly not V-shaped, but maybe a 30-degree kind of angle. It might give me a bit more kind of angle. That bottom elbow can kind of come straight across and then angle up with the joiner, and then this U won't have to be on such an extreme angle, if that makes sense. It can kind of go back to its more of its natural form. So I want to try it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I've only got time and money to throw at these things, because my millions that I make from YouTube will pay for it. Almost millions of cents. Be honest with you fellas, so far I've made $130 off YouTube in 4 years. I'm doing really good. Yeah, it's paid for a lot, and I had to pay tax on it. Damn it. Basically taking that out at the top and V'ing it down to the bottom and see how that goes. It's only a bit of tube and a bit of shielding gas and a bit of MIG wire and probably a bit of cursing and swearing, because I no doubt won't get this clean enough to get the porosity out of it. I wonder if I could... No, I'll take it apart. Hey, glad I got this. This is handy. Speeds up the process a little bit. You ready? I'll cut this, V this out. Alright, so I've cleaned this up as good as I think I need to. I'll have a crack at tacking it together. I probably should have a bit of a warm up on something else, but I won't. So, helmet on. This is now, I think. I'm just going to send it. And I struggle to see, like it just goes black and then I have this white thing. I don't even know where my cut is. I should sit down. Okay, so welded that up. Kind of went so-so, sort of started off pretty rough, then got better, and then it went kind of rough again. And one of the biggest issues I have is when I'm trying to weld, MIG or TIG, I can't see where I'm going. Like it just, every time I try and adjust my helmet to a lighter shade, it will flash on me and near blind me, so I kind of have it set sort of darker. Haven't done it, but I've got a little LED light to put on the front of my helmet to maybe kind of illuminate my work a little bit better. I don't know if it's just, maybe I need a better helmet. I've spent a bit of time, I've bought a few different helmets over the years, and none of them seem to make a lot of difference, but they've all been, not high end, like speed glass type of 3M gear and shit like that. I get there in the end,
definitely helps when I can see where I'm going, because there've been a couple of times I've just like veered off there, especially when I was going back through, just trying to kind of melt things in a bit nicer. But yeah, it's welded, and also my TIG, the slop down or the post flow doesn't actually work. So whenever you stop, you get these little, like, it doesn't keep the gas flowing long enough afterwards, so it gets this little kind of little crater, because it just stops and then it does its little TIG weldery thing. I don't know what it's called, but it does a thing, and it leaves like a little crater behind, like a little thing. And I'm just worried that they are a deep crater that goes right through. I'm gonna pass out. But yeah, so it's welded. I'm not going to show you too close, because it's like it's not great, but I think it'll hold the water in. I blew through in a couple of places, so I ended up with big gobs of it on the inside, so I had to get the die grinder out, and then I just sort of give it a bit of a clean up, the roll up, and then just a bit of a sort of sandy. You won't see it really, but I wish my welds looked nicer. I wish I'd had more time to spend, you know, practicing and getting better, and have money to have better equipment and stuff. But for the most part, I get done what I need to get done, and then it's been, I don't know when I last TIG welded something. It's been a while, so I get all rusty and struggle again, and then I have another crack at it and do it for a bit, and then I get better, and then I struggle again. So round about there, I think. So it'll be like that-ish, roughly. Right, I'm gonna go and have some lunch because I'm hungry, and we'll come back and try fitting that again. Okay, so back again. I've got it on there, kind of mostly. It's, as you can see, it's just kind of just on there. But I just wanted to see how that collapse was doing, and it's a lot better. I think once we kind of get it all kind of on there properly, it will probably be okay. It's not perfectly round down in here, but it's not like folded in half either, so it might be alright once we kind of get it all clamped up properly. Could probably swivel my jointer a little bit as well, you know what I mean? So yeah, well, I might just bolt it all up and chuck some coolant in it, see whether it stays in there, and hopefully that's it. All this because of a thermostat housing. Yeah, I'll pull that off again and might loosen off that joint, and then get my hose clamps all ready for the top and bottom thermostat and the bottom of the radiator. Pardon me, burping up my lunch. Okay, so that's it, all clamped in. It still kind of flattens out a little bit more than I would like on that bend, but I'm hoping once it gets a few heat cycles in it, it just kind of finds a new form for itself and doesn't just collapse. I know that can happen. I do have the spring that goes in there. I could cut a piece of that and put it in there now that I've done all that. It might just help keep it open. I was going to do that before, but I forgot. I'll do it. Peace of mind, I'll do it. I'm going to take it back out again and cut a piece of spring and put a piece of spring in there just to kind of help with the situation, you know what I'm saying? So I'll just take this off again. About that much. Can't bother pulling it all out. So I haven't actually taken it out, I've just taken the top clamp. I haven't actually taken the whole bottom hose off. I've just taken the top clamp off, and I'm going to see if I can angle this down there the hard way. I don't know if you can see down in there, but there's the springs in there, so I just got to put that top hose back on and see how it goes. Hopefully it just doesn't just block it up, but we'll find out. Okay, I don't really feel a whole lot different. It feels maybe a little bit more sort of rigid, but at very least, hopefully that'll just kind of stop with that kind of collapsing under wide open throttle that some cars are known to do. I've never had that happen before, but I've usually had a spring in the bottom of the hose, you know, especially on this and some of the older junk that I've had in the past. But yeah, that's it. Basically, you just got to clean up, mop up as much of that coolant underneath as possible so I can see if there's any new leaks. Hope not. And yeah, put the coolant in it. Gotta do a throttle position reset and yeah, kick it in the guts and see what spews out. Okay, so battery's connected. I've just done the idle the throttle position reset, TPS reset, because I tutted with some stuff last week, and apparently you got to do it after you do anything. So fingers crossed we can fire it up and not have it leak. So wish me luck, fellas. Oh, I put the key in too the other day. I think the failing to start last week was the relay. I wheeled a wire here and it went, so get the vitals up just to have a look. Did it again. Okay, oil leak. That looks like it is coming through the aluminium in the sump. Where are we? Yeah, if you look at that, it's coming from right in there. I don't think it's coming from down the side of it. It's not coming from the side, it's coming from right. I'll get the pointy thing and point to it. Okay, so hopefully you can got the camera pointing in the right direction, but I think it's coming from right there. I can feel something with my pick there. I'm just going to wipe it away. Wow, would you look at that? I don't know whether it's a crack or just a impurity. You know, like I have heard some of these. I mean, I don't know where this pan came from. I bought it off a mate locally. It was brand new, so all I can think of is maybe, I don't think that's a crack that runs through there, but unless it's a crack that's on that kind of ear, this tab here. But I can definitely feel something with my pick
right there. I have, like I was just saying, I have heard that some of these like Chinesian pans have, you know, can be pretty impure castings, or they can be flawed in some way. But I mean, for me to get that and do another new pan, I've got to pull the motor out of this to do it, and that is a bridge too far. Where's my rag gone? Yep. Whoa. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, so I now know 99% certain I know what is that leak. More aftermarket junk. I really don't know what to say. I'm not going to take the pan out. I'm going to JB Weld it or some kind of product like that. I don't know what. I might, you know, let it drip out a little bit, and I'll maybe Dremel out a little groove in there and just goop it up. Because, like I say, to do that pan now, I've got to pull the motor out. And if it starts kind of leaking in other places, then yeah, then I'll definitely have to do it. But for now, unless I have to pull the motor out, I'm not doing that pan. Absolutely have to. What a freaking aftermarket junk, man. It's absolutely doing my head in. Okay, so it's not a pinhole, it's a crack. I'll put this up on the screen, but I got under there with my telephone and I kind of zoomed in and took a photo, and yeah, it's cracked across that. It's not all the way cracked. It starts about part way. I wonder if it's still like a casting flaw, because I mean, I torqued everything to spec as, you know, specified. You can see this, but it starts there and works its way across there, but it doesn't seem to be up the side. So don't know. I'll put that picture up on the screen, you can have a closer look. I don't know what else to frickin' say, man. It's like, how can I fix that like shitty and dirty? I mean, I've fixed petrol tank leaks with JB Weld before. Fixed exhaust leaks with Need It, which is another epoxy that's more of a putty. Yeah, I'm gonna do something like that, eh? As long as it's not a, if I can just get it to bite. JB Weld that I've got's a bit runny though. I'll probably just dribble down and not actually seal it. Hey guys, so later that day, today, JB Weld. I'm gonna JB Weld my sump. Not ideal, but that I'm sure it's a casting crack that's in it. I don't think I over torqued anything. I think it's just one of those Chinesian bloody sumps is all. So I've got to get under there, clean it all up. Got my Dremel, so I'm going to kind of cut a bit of a groove into that crack and use this tank weld. It's for fuel tanks, metal tanks, blah 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 blah. No welding, ethanol resistant, chemical resistant, so it should be good for oil. Instructions say blah 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 blah, clean and rah rah rah. There's some stuff there that says to do. I read it when I was in the shop. So I'm going to get under there, give it a clean, get in there with a little Dremel, need my glasses, and yeah, do some JB welding. Might even be better than my stainless welding. Okay, so cut me a little hunk of this JB Weld off there. You just got to knead it into a little ball of stuff, and then it'll be ready to weld up my sump. I went for this tank weld. There's about 20 different products that I kind of could have gone for, but I went for this tank weld because it's, you know, designed for petrol tanks, and if it can hold petrol in a petrol tank, whether it be steel or alloy or whatever, surely it can hold a bit of oil in a tiny little crack. That's my logic anyways. Alright, I think that's about ready to go. Stick your bar, mate. Okay, so hopefully that might seal it up. Hopefully. Yeah, so that's it, JB welded. Now, the only other place that oil seemed to be kind of building up is around this bolt here, which should be a blind hole, but you just never do know. I mean, that's not another shitty casting crack there, is it? Oh, we'll just let that cure, and that's about it for today anyway, because it's coming up on 6 o'clock on Sunday night, and I'm going to go to work tomorrow, and I was really hoping that this would be down on its paws, rolling back and forwards on its own steam, if you know what I mean. That might be next week with any luck. That's where I'm going to leave this riveting episode of Dmac Kustoms, working on the Area 51, trying to fix dumb leaks caused by shitty Chinese aftermarket crap. Hopefully that'll do us for now, but like I said, the only way to fix that sump pan properly is to take it out. I know that, and buy a good one, but man, I'm just throwing good money after bad. You know, I thought it was a good sump, brand new, and it just had that crack in it, and I'm 100% positive I didn't over torque it and caused the crack myself. I think it's a casting crack, and yeah, that is what it is, I guess. So as disappointing as this weekend has been, like trying to get this thing down on the ground, I really wanted to be like the first drive this weekend, just take for a putt around that, up down the street backwards and forwards or something like that, but maybe next week. So if you haven't subscribed at this point, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, but it'd be really good if you did. Subscribe, like, share, comment, let us know what crappy parts have just slammed you up against the wall, you know, like in the past with, you know, banging your head against the wall trying to figure something out, and it turns out it's just a crappy part. And don't forget, we're on the Instagram and Facebook, and right here on the YouTube. And until next time, take it easy and peace. Oh, and thanks for watching. If you're watching at this point, thank you very much. See you next week. Hopefully we're going to drive this thing somehow, leaking oil or not.